everyone. A very good afternoon to all of you, and welcome to this session. I'm here with another practice set for all of you, and please let me know if I am properly audible and visible. Okay, if you can confirm me, that would be great. Thank you. Wow. Thank you for a lot of confirmation. So my classes quickly एक schedule बता देती हूँ are going Monday, Wednesdays and Fridays on this channel. So 1:30 we have practice sessions here, and then 8 p.m. we have regular sessions, especially Monday to Saturday 8 p.m. and Monday to Saturday 8 p.m. May we are doing editorial analysis where we are learning skimming, vocab, grammar, and a lot more. It's a dynamic session for all of you who want to cover a lot in a short period of time. Okay, so वहाँ पर आप लोग regularly आइए, and those जो मुझे नहीं जानते, I'm Niharika John Mehra, your faculty of English on CGB Mentors, and I am here to teach you today some questions, reading comprehension questions specifically for CSAT. तो हम टाइमर के साथ क्वेश्चंस करने शुरू करेंगे. You have to answer here in the chat. Also, make sure to like, share, and subscribe. That's your first question. Please read everything carefully and answer. I'll give a few seconds extra because this is a lengthy one. Okay, answer to this one is first and the second one. Now, this is a question where simply you have to match the information from the passage, the options from the passage. So, according to passage, which of the statements given are correct? Okay. So, first option says the objective of inclusive growth was laid down by founding fathers of nation. Second says need of the hour is to have an enabling government. Third, government should engage in maximum interference. Market process highlight the important words in your mind. Okay. there is a need to change the size. So size है जो कि कहीं अगर mention है, then it would be my correct answer. So for achieving inclusive growth, it is a critical need to rethink the role of the state. Okay, so inclusive growth, objective of growth was let down. Maybe यहाँ पर मुझे कुछ मिले. The early debate among economists about the size of the government can be misleading. The need of the hour is an enabling government. So bingo, I have the second one just like that. So at least one option मेरा out है ना? Now it says, now related to size, there is a need to change the size, but here it says that the debate among economists about the size can be misleading. Size वाला तो misleading है ना? तो यहाँ पे fourth is out. If fourth is out, this option is out. Two दोनों में same है, which we have already seen. अभी आगे देखते हैं. The need of the hour is to have an enabling government. India is too large and complex a nation for state to be able to deliver all that is needed. Asking government to produce all the essential goods, create and keep curb on everything is to lead a large cumbersome bureaucracy. The aim must stay all like this. We also get to see about something जो कि founding fathers के लिए. The aim must be to stay with the objective of inclusive growth that was laid by founding fathers. इससे ज़्यादा कुछ नहीं करना है. Answer सीधा आपके सामने. Next question. Go through the question. Try and understand what exactly is asked. This one is not that lengthy. Okay. Answer this question is third and the fourth one. What does the author imply? What he suggests by creative society? So we need all the information we have in front of us. Author is explaining what is a creative society, and we need to cross check uh, our options with the information provided here. A society where diverse art forms and literary writing seeks incentive. These are the highlighted words here which are important for us to cross check. Society where social inequalities are accepted as norms. Society where large number of contradictions are recognized. Society where the exploited and oppressed groups grow conscious. So these are the cross check words, and now we will read the passage. Okay. The concept of creative society refers to a phase of development of a society in which a large number of potential contradictions become articulate and active. Okay, so contradictions are recognized. A large number of them are recognized because they are becoming articulate and active. Hence, we get to see that third is the correct one. If third is correct, then first option, second option, first is there. Second and fourth option are gone. Okay. Now, the next one. It says, this is most evident when oppressed social groups get politically mobilized and demand their rights. So we do get to see that where a society it is where we can see people who are exploited and the oppressed groups, they grow conscious of their rights because they are getting politically mobilized and they are demanding their rights. So third and the fourth one, if fourth is correct and third is also correct, that definitely will give you an idea of option C, because we have to check all the options. We cannot just answer based on what one thing we felt is right. You can answer here in the chat. It's a very common question that we get to see, crux of anything, crux of the passage. Okay. Answer to this one is C. So a species that exerts what? An influence out of proportion. Such a species to its abundance in an ecosystem is called a keystone species. So we get to see कि keystone species होते क्या हैं. These species may influence both species richness of communities and flow of energy materials. The sea star disaster the flow of energy and materials through ecosystem. अब ये जो हैं which lives in rocky ecosystems of on the Pacific coast of North America is also an example of a keystone. Keystone species क्या होती हैं? एक example. It is preferred prey. Its preferred prey is the Mussel californianus. In the absence of sea stars, these missiles crowd out and they are surviving how they are behaving. By consuming mussels, sea star creates bare spaces that are taken over by a variety of other species. एक स्टडी क्या बताती है that influence of disaster on species richness by removing sea stars from selected part is something that is taking place. Two major changes have occurred. First, the lower edge of the 46 missile bed extended. यहाँ पे extension हो रहा है. Second one, 28 species of animals and algae disappeared. So eventually we get to see the other competitor occupied the entire space. Through its effect on competitive relationship, predation by disaster largely determines which species live. in these rocky ecosystem. तो ये काफी keystone as the name suggests, इसका रोल भी बड़ा key रोल है यहाँ पे. So these species ensure species diversity because they are in a way they are controlling ecosystem where they decide which one will thrive and which one will not. We get to see here. Okay, so that's what we get is the crux of the passage. That how these species, you can see with the example and the description of disaster and all, कि किस तरीके से govern कर रही है. Okay. Which one of the following conveys the key message of the passage? In a way, this is also a question with crux है. क्योंकि when we talk about crux, it's the main message. It is the main learning from the passage. So this is what we have to do, what we did in the previous question. Now, India's children have the right to receive at least 8 years of education. The annoying question is whether it will remain on paper or become a reality. So the passage starts with a question also declaring now we have this opportunity to get education at least for 8 years. One hardly needs a reminder that this right is different from others enshrined in the Constitution. That the beneficiary, a 6-year-old child, cannot demand it, nor can she or he fight a legal battle when the right is denied or violated. So, this is something very different from the other rights that we get to see because ये जिनके लिए है, they cannot demand any justice in case वो right नहीं दिया जा रहा. In all cases, it is adult society which must act on the behalf of child. In another peculiarity, where a child's right to education is denied, no compensation offered later can be adequate. बाद में क्या कर लेंगे पहले ही डिनाई कर दिया है ना. This is so because childhood does not last if a legal battle fought on behalf of a child is eventually won. It may be of little use to the boy or girl because opportunity missed at school during childhood cannot serve the same purpose later in life. So यहाँ पे time भी बहुत important है. If we miss out on that, if even there is a legal battle, it keeps on going and ultimately you win, it's of no use because that childhood cannot come back where a person was supposed to get education. So we see a lot of complexity and challenges with this right. This may be painfully true for girls because a society permits them only a short childhood. The right to education has become law at a point in India's history when the ghastly practice of female infanticide has resurfaced in the form of feticide. So, again, other related challenges we get to see. This is symptomatic of a deeper turmoil in society, which compounding the traditional obstacles to the education of girls. Now, here again, what we get to see is, especially with respect to the girls, this problem becomes grave. Tenacious prejudice against intellectual potential of girls. This prejudice runs across our cultural diversity. It's all about the negative thing. I mean, it's all about how this right to education is, especially for girls. It's something we need to work more upon, because if we miss it out, if it is not given, if it is violated, then the solution, even if we win, is not helpful. So right to education, particularly for a girl child, needs to be safeguarded. We need to make sure that it is used in a right way at the right age. Okay, काफी क्लियरली समझ में आ रहा था इससे तो. Same passage, second question. So inference is always from the content, from the passage that you have. It is hidden somewhere behind, And for this one, there is no sufficient substitute for education received in childhood, because author is clearly mentioning that childhood does not last if a legal battle fought on behalf of a child is eventually won. Okay, it may be of little use because this is the opportunity missed at school during childhood, and it cannot serve the same purpose later in life. So, there is no sufficient substitute for education received in childhood. It is not enough, it is the opportunity missed and gone like forever. So, this is what we get. Other options we can easily eliminate. The society has a tenacious prejudice against the intellectual potential of girls. This is a direct quote, it is not an inference. Okay, we do get to see what the society thinks or behaves here, but then that's not what we want here. This is just a direct reference. Adults cannot be relied upon to fight on behalf of children. We are actually relying upon them. So this is wrong. Legal fight to get education for children is often protracted and prohibitive. Nowhere author is mentioning this thing. It could be something that elongates and later on result हमारे काम का नहीं होता, but yeah, half true, half wrong is ultimately a wrong option. answer to this one? Only the first? Okay. So you have to again cross check which is correct. Reference is with reference to the passage. So it is desirable that the impact of FDI should be pro competitive. The entry of foreign investors leads to inflated price in domestic market. So one is related to price, another is related to competitive thing. Now let's see. The need for competition law becomes more evident when it is more evident, it is more practical. Now we can see that is required competition law when foreign direct investment is liberalized. The impact of FDI is not always pro competitive. That's why it is desirable that the impact should be pro competitive, because that's why author is saying there is a need for the law to become more evident when FDI is liberalized. Liberalized होगा तो इतना काम नहीं होगा. That this is the situation that the impact at present is not always pro competitive and we need to make it pro competitive. आप समझ रहे हो इसका relationship यहाँ पे? Read more. Very often, FDI takes the form of a foreign corporation acquiring a domestic enterprise. By making such an acquisition, investor may lessen competition and gain a dominant position, thus charging higher prices. Okay? तो ऐसा जो कंटिन्यूएशन होता है, इस तरीके से जो होता है, उसमें हम क्या देखते हैं? एक्वायर करा and ultimately higher prices charge करा. Another scenario is where the affiliates of two separate MNCs have been established in competition with one another in a particular developing country following the liberalization. So the parent companies overseas merge. With the affiliates no longer remaining independent, competition in the host country may be artificially inflated. Host country में हो रहा है, okay? Artificially inflated वाली बात. Hence second वाला अभी तक नहीं मिला है. Most of these consequences of mergers, acquisitions can be avoided if an effective competition law is in place. So author is in the favor of, and he is explaining how this competition law is important. Also, an economy has implemented an effective competition law is in a better position to attract FDI. This is not just most MNCs, because most MNCs are expected to be accustomed to operation of such a law and know how to deal with such things. It is to ensure a level playing field between domestic and foreign firms. So author is saying what should be done? Competition law आना चाहिए. That is desirable. That the impact of FDI should be pro-competitive, which is not right now at present. Hence, competition law is required. I hope आपको अब relationship समझ में आ गया होगा. Inference का question है same passage. Go ahead, do it. The answer, with competition law, it is easy to ensure a level playing field, which is mentioned at the end, between domestic and foreign firms, and that's why author is emphasizing on this law so much. Next question. Make sure to like and share, guys. Questions. Tricky questions. Only the second one can be assumed. So first of all, assumption are the questions which are done in a reverse manner. Okay, जो भी आंसर होगा first, second or both or maybe neither. So in case of that, we will get this as first thought. Based on that, the whole passage is true. Okay. So it is imperative for transition economies to have agricultural collectivities. इंपॉर्टेंट है, ट्रांजिशन इकोनॉमीज को लेकर क्या ऑथर बताया है. एग्रीकल्चर प्रोडक्टिविटी कैन बी इंक्रीज बाय ग्रुप अप्रोच टू फार्मिंग. So is author talking about collectivities and transition, or he is talking about the productivity part, or maybe none of them? So the poor, especially in the market economies, need the strength that collectives offer for creating what more economic, social and political space for themselves. Okay, for enhancing what socio-economic well-being as a protection against free market individualism. Agricultural collectivities abhi tak baat nahi hui. It has been argued that a group approach to farming, especially in the form of bottom-up production collectivities, offers substantial scope for poverty alleviation and empowering the poor as well as enhancing agricultural productivity. अब दोनों की बात हो गई. Is author focusing now? Now my second question should be, is author focusing on the productivity part, or in the whole passage altogether. Okay, or he is talking about it is imperative for transition economies, such economies, that they should have collectivities. To realize this potential, the groups would need to be voluntary in nature, small in size, decision making, and all ये सब होना चाहिए. There are notable examples of such collectivities to be found in varied contexts, such as transition economies. All of them bear witness to the possibility of successful cooperation. And although the gender impact of the family cooperatives in the transition economies are uncertain, the Indian examples of women only groups farming are considerable potential for benefiting women. So, author is basically explaining how these collectivities or working in collectivities ultimately can help. First one assumption, it is imperative for transition economies. We don't get enough evidence in the passage that says it is super important, उसके बिना होगा ही नहीं काम. Okay, in the economies to have agricultural collectivities. Agricultural collectivities is just an example given over here. So no, he might have not assumed this. ये पहला idea नहीं होगा because the passage is slightly different and in fact it is broader. Second one, agricultural productivity can be increased by group approach to farming. This is what he's explaining at the end. He's talking more about the productivity part and saying how the productivity can be increased when small groups are made and they work. Women only groups also are considered someone who can or the groups that can work better. So he is saying things in favor of it. If second is true, then the passage or the information in the passage is true. और ऐसे हम चेक करते हैं assumption के questions. Okay. Next one. Again, one other question we have of assumption. And wrong with it. I'll just give an approximate time. Neither one nor two. Yes, this is something that has equal chance of being your right answer. So please don't disregard the option just by uh, going through it. Okay. Okay. So which of the assumption is or are valid? The author gives primary to physical and material help in eradicating human misery. So the author gives the most importance to physical and material health in eradicating. This is 2013 question, by the way. Human misery. Charitable homes, hospitals can remove human misery to a great extent. देखते हैं. The miseries of the world cannot be cured by physical health only. Okay? Until man's nature changes, his physical needs will always arise and miseries will always be felt, and no amount of help will remove them completely. This is true, and this till now gives us no hint कि author ये सोचा होगा that primary importance किसको दें, या फिर author might be thinking what could be removed so that something can help with the misery. The only solution of the problem is to make mankind pure. Only solution is to make mankind pure. So these things can remove misery to a great extent. We don't get to see yet. Ignorance is the mother of evil and of misery. Let men have light. Let them be pure, spiritually strong, and educated. Let alone that alone will misery seize the world. We may convert every house in country into a charitable asylum. We may fill the land with hospitals, but human misery will continue. So first of all, second तो बहुत easily eliminate हो जाएगा. Author is saying that these cannot remove. We can do whatever. We may fill the land with hospitals, etc., but that will not help. So this is not. If second is true, then the passage is false. So इसलिए assumption नहीं होगा. The author gives importance to physical and material health. No, he is giving importance to spiritual health, making mankind pure. तो फर्स्ट वाला भी नहीं है, neither one, not two. So ये आपका आंसर था. Okay. So we are done here. I'm gonna catch you at 8 o'clock now, जो कि editorial session होगा. Gonna work a lot over there. Okay. I'm gonna cover a lot. So I hope to see you 8 p.m. on this channel for editorial analysis. Thank you so much, guys. Take care. Bye bye. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe.